On the day of the wedding, my fiancé publicly kissed me passionately during our engagement photos. A full-on French kiss. I struggled fiercely, but he kept pulling up my wedding dress, and everyone around us had quite a show. The photographer, to my shock, was Sophia, who had broken off her engagement with him years ago because she didn't want a paralyzed mother-in-law. As my fiancé kissed me, his gaze at Sophia was full of provocation. This was the first time I'd lost my temper since we'd been deep in love. I shoved him away and ripped off my veil. Forget the wedding. Everyone started blaming me, and even my fiancé frowned deeply. I was just showing affection, he said, and I accidentally unfastened your bra strap. Is that really such a big deal? My gaze was steady. Yes, it is. Marcus's eyebrows furrowed, then relaxed. Seeing my genuine anger, he quickly caved. Don't be mad, we just won't take engagement photos, okay? He straightened my dress, but a second later, he thought of something and smiled subtly. Then, he pointed at Sophia. The photos are ruined, but I did pay for them. Since your problems have made everyone unhappy, shouldn't there be some punishment? He motioned to his friends nearby to bring a bottle of whiskey. Drink it all, and I won't complain to your company. The next second, Sophia, without hesitation, grabbed the whiskey and chugged it down, covering her face. This sudden move caught Marcus off guard. When he reacted, he immediately snatched the bottle from Sophia's hand. Then, in a fit of pique, he smashed it to the ground. I told you to drink, and you just drank? Did you forget you're allergic to alcohol? Those tone was harsh. The underlying concern made everyone around us look strange. They all stared at me, as if expecting me to show a heartbroken expression, as they wished. I gritted my teeth. Just days before, I had been so invested in our engagement photos that I called in many favors and owed many people to find a top-tier photographer. Just as the photographer was about to agree, Marcus told me he had already found one. I rarely argued with him, and my first refusal was met with his cold disregard. In the end, I could only give in. I never expected that photographer to be Sophia. The first time I heard Sophia's name was from Marcus's mother, Margaret. I had been taking care of Margaret for years. She became paralyzed years ago due to an accident and suffered from incontinence. The night Marcus was moved by me and was about to discuss our wedding, I overheard Margaret muttering in her sleep, "If it weren't for my old legs, Sophia wouldn't have broken off the engagement because she disliked me, and I wouldn't have to find a daughter-in-law like this. My dear boy wouldn't have settled for less and married Grace." Later, I finally saw Marcus as the one that got away, Sophia, with my own eyes. It was the day of my bachelorette party. The moment Sophia appeared, I could feel Marcus's body instantly tense up. It was the first time he had ever been so affectionate with me in front of everyone, yet his endearments felt so forced, so fragile that day. He fed me cantaloupe with his mouth in front of Sophia. Amidst the cheers, my face turned ashen. I'm allergic to cantaloupe. He remembered Sophia's alcohol allergy, but he had never paid attention to me. He did all this just to make Sophia regret and suffer for abandoning him then. But he didn't understand that the one who would always be humiliated was me. Now, looking at this farce unfolding, after all these years of tirelessly caring for Margaret, wiping away her filth and mess, I had never once complained about being tired. But now, I was weary. Marcus, are we still getting married? Everyone's laughter and chatter stopped abruptly. Marcus realized what was happening and quickly let go of Sophia. Sophia, seeing my cold expression, flinched like a frightened bird. I'm so sorry. It's my fault for annoying you, Mrs. Marcus. I'll leave right away. Seeing in such a submissive state, Marcus grew inexplicably annoyed. He ignored me completely and called out to Sophia, "We're not married yet. So why are you calling her Mrs. Marcus? You have no sense of decorum. The boss hasn't told you to leave, and you dare to? Do you want a complaint filed against you? Stay right here." The air froze instantly. My bridesmaid, however, came out and tried to smooth things over, pushing Marcus outside. After the engagement photos, we still have the wedding ceremony to go through. How can the groom pick up the bride so soon? With a bang, the door closed, separating Marcus and the groomsmen from us. My bridesmaids were also ready. Listen up, groom. You can only pick up the bride after answering the questions correctly. So, the first question is, when was your first kiss with Grace? This question was an easy question, but Marcus fell silent. My fist slowly clenched. Then, a groomsman blurted out carelessly, "First kiss?" Marcus's first kiss was with Sophia. It was on high school graduation day. Marcus had a few drinks, brushed his teeth 3 times, and then took the opportunity to forcefully kiss Sophia. Someone else added, Yeah, after that kiss, Marcus didn't eat for the whole days, saying he wanted to preserve the feeling. The conversation strayed further and further until Sophia's face was flushed red, but chose to add fuel to the fire. That's right. If someone hadn't been so vain and lacked judgment, my bride would have been her long ago. Marcus let out a cold chuckle, full of insinuation. This remark was a slap in my face. He didn't care that I was becoming a laughing stock. Seeing this, my bridesmaid quickly changed the subject. Next question, next question. What's the bride's favorite dish? Groom, please answer. And as expected, answered decisively, sweet and sour. When I nodded, my bridesmaid finally breathed a sigh of relief, but she didn't see my paper white face. Sweet and sour was Sophia's favorite. I only said it to save face. Finally, the door opened, just as I thought I could escape and proceed with the wedding ceremony. The groomsmen who burst through the door surrounded me. Immediately, several groomsmen lifted me. They kissed me roughly. Some groped me, and some even took off their pants. I struggled, screaming for help like crazy Marcus. Hearing me, Marcus froze and then tried to reach out to me. But a groomsman stopped him. Marcus, don't forget what we agreed on. This is a necessary part of the wedding hazing rituals. Marcus stopped, immediately withdrew his hand. His eyes seemed full of sadness as he bit his pale lips and mumbled, Grace, just bear with it. This is our family tradition. Every woman who marries into our family has to go through this. No matter how much he said, he just stood there, doing nothing. This sentence felt like a final judgment against me, and I shed tears for the first time. I saw through this man and shouted, I'm not getting married. But before I could finish, a foul-smelling mouth covered mine. All my declarations of disinterest and refusal turned into muffled sobs. They laughed as they continued, pat the bride's butt. No illness for 3 years. Touch the bride's career line, and your career will soar. My bridesmaids, who were with me, were not spared either. They also suffered their abuses, except for Sophia. All this ended when a groomsman merely touched Sophia's hand, only to be sharply interrupted by Marcus. Blake, don't take it too far. I was utterly tormented, my torn clothes barely covering anything. Sophia, however, was completely unharmed, tearfully shrinking in Marcus's arms like a pitiful creature. Facing like this, how could Marcus bring himself to say anything harsh? He said gently, don't be afraid. No one will dare to touch a single hair on you. You won't have to go through these crude customs when you get married. Don't be afraid. After comforting her for a long time, Marcus finally remembered me with a start. Unlike his gentle comforting of Sophia, his attempts with me felt awkward and unfamiliar. Grace, don't be afraid. I'm here. We won't suffer this humiliation anymore. Let's skip this step and go perform the wedding ceremony. He took my hand, but I ruthlessly slapped away. He froze, a strange unease filling his heart, as if something was slipping away. Realizing this, he quickly chased after me. I snatched a blanket to cover myself and then kicked open the large door. Before me appeared a wedding hall full of guests. Sitting prominently at the head of the hall was Margaret, who looked displeased at my hasty appearance, so boisterous and unruly. How can you be my daughter-in-law? I coldly faced this woman who I had lived with day in and day out, who barked orders at me constantly and defiantly retorted, I'm not getting married. But just as I said that, the large screen in the center of the wedding hall suddenly projected videos and compromising photos of me being groped by those groomsmen, making everyone blush. Some parts were exposed, and those photos were even magnified again and again. A few guests hooted like monkeys, blowing lewd catcalls at me. There's this part too. Why don't you let us guests join in the fun? Listening to the lewd catcalls and Margaret's cold scolding, I felt dizzy, my ears ringing. Marcus, who had chased after me, saw this scene and immediately rushed to the screen. Pulling out the cable instantly, the large screen went dark. But what good was that? Everything that could be recorded had already been recorded. He tried to rush over to comfort me but was interrupted by soft sobs. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I really didn't mean to ruin everything. Sophia cried remorsefully, nervously twisting the corner of her clothes. The next second, all of Marcus's reproaches turned into comfort. I know you didn't mean it. I've always known you're not that kind of person. Please, stop crying, okay? His tone was full of helplessness. Margaret also quickly chimed in. Sophia, you're a good girl. I don't blame you. Whether it was intentional or not, Margaret sighed. I've always liked you. Child, if I hadn't been paralyzed back then, you and Marcus would have been happily married long ago. there wouldn't have been anything for that woman to do. Every word implied that I was the third party who intruded. Hearing say this, Marcus suddenly looked at me, his eyes full of blame. Sophia just had a shaky hand. She's timid. Why are you scaring her like this? Apologize to her. After you apologize, we can continue with the wedding. I also promise you that only you can be Mrs. Marcus. Margaret also spoke up. No fuss, no fun, no fuss, no luck. This is a deeply rooted family tradition. So what if there's a little fuss? Why are you throwing a fit? This is a requirement for becoming a daughter-in-law of the He family. Perhaps was overly agitated. After saying this, an unknown murky liquid suddenly gushed from her lower body. Her pants couldn't contain it, and it spilled all over the floor, emitting a foul odor. When everyone realized what was happening, they immediately covered their mouths and noses in disgust. Their reactions were like a burning slap across Marcus's face. Mom, didn't Grace just change your adult diaper at 4 in the morning today? Margaret shrank her neck in embarrassment, showing a rare moment of shyness and blushing. It was too much. It was uncomfortable, so I threw it away. Marcus's face darkened, and he instructed me with his usual familiarity. Grace, go change Mom's adult diaper first. Hearing this, I didn't move. My wedding dress was already torn and ruined, and I stood there impassively, seeing me like this. Marcus frowned and walked towards me. Grace? But just as he tried to grab my hand, I slapped him across the face. It was a solid, loud slap. After hitting him, a wave of relief washed over me, as if I had shed years of shackles. I said, I'm not getting married. Your mother? You can take care of her yourself if you like. For the third time, everyone finally heard my words clearly, and seeing my resolute back, with no room for reversal, his pupils suddenly contracted. He finally realized I was serious this time. He panicked, still in disbelief. When he reacted, he wanted to ask me for clarification, but I had already kicked open the wedding hall door and walked away. The first to stop me was Sophia, like an innocent damsel in distress. She lowered her head helplessly, mumbling apologies to me. Grace, don't blame Marcus. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have treated you like this. Actually, Marcus and I have no relationship, or if we did, it's a thing of the past. It was my fault back then. I was greedy and abandoned Marcus after learning his mother was paralyzed. What happened today started with me, but I truly don't want to ruin your relationship, Grace. If you must blame someone, blame me. She said all this to convey one meaning. Marcus was with me purely because she had abandoned him. I, Grace, was merely picking up what Sophia had discarded, but I couldn't even pick up trash properly. After all these years, Marcus still only liked her. Hearing this, I laughed, a crazed, wild laugh in his eyes. I had always been the gentle, submissive woman who never resisted or refused him. He had never seen me like this before. His heart trembled violently. It was also the first time I realized I could be like this, no longer submissive, no longer easygoing, no longer sacrificing myself. Compared to my former self, my current self brought me more comfort and happiness. Stop calling me Grace all the time and him Marcus all the time, as if I'm decades older than you two. In reality, you're 3 years older than me. Sophia, aren't you tired of playing mind games all these years? You scheming, manipulative woman. Hearing me expose her true colors without hesitation, Sophia froze, and then her face instantly darkened. She almost burst into curses. Indeed, this must be her true self. But her reason held, and she immediately shut up. Grace, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Hearing this, I quickly retorted, that's right. You wouldn't, you idiot. At that moment, my mouth was like a machine gun, relentlessly firing back. After I spoke, Sophia's hands, hidden from view, clenched into tight fists. Undoubtedly, in her mind, she had already flayed me 1,000 times over. But I didn't care and was about to leave, but called out to me again. He grabbed me fiercely, very tightly. No matter how many times I kicked him or slapped him hard, he didn't let go. Let go. I warned sharply, but he seemed not to hear. Instead, he kept saying, Grace, stop throwing a fit. Everyone is waiting for you. They're all waiting for us to get married. If you don't want to change my mom's adult diaper, if you don't want to take care of my mom, then we won't. If you don't want to apologize to Sophia, then we won't apologize either. Will you come back with me and continue the wedding, please? His tone was full of pleading, as if he were genuinely scared. I didn't speak. Seeing this, he pleaded again and again, I'm begging you. Grace, we've been preparing for this wedding for so long, and we've looked forward to it for so long. You don't want all of this to go to waste. do you? He tightly held my hand, gently swaying it, as if he were trying to charm me. Those are just minor things. There's no need to ruin everything over these little matters. Before he could finish, I scoffed coldly, cutting him off. Minor things? These are not minor things to me. My cold gaze made Marcus even more panicked. He quickly denied, following my words. Yes, they're not minor things. They're not minor things at all. Grace? I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. Please don't be angry. Gradually realizing my determination, Marcus's voice trembled slightly. I desperately wanted to shake him off, but his grip on my hand was incredibly tight. The disparity in strength between a man and a woman meant I couldn't break free immediately. In the end, I could only appeal to his reason and emotions. I sighed deeply, looking at him intently. Marcus, after all these years, do you really think those are minor things? When I was being bullied by other men, you just watched, doing nothing. When I was exposed to everyone because of you, you were flirting with another woman. If these are all minor things, then what are major things? I'm afraid to know anymore. I spoke each word distinctly. Hearing the words flirting, Marcus immediately denied it. I've never flirted with another woman. You used revenge as an excuse to make Sophia regret. Yet you couldn't bear to hurt her and instead comforted her. What kind of behavior is that if not flirting? I spoke with conviction, stepping closer to Marcus, each sentence forcing him to admit it. If this isn't flirting, then what is it? Marcus, tell me. He was so intimidated by my aura and words that he instantly fell to the ground. After a moment of silence, he slowly looked up at me. I admit I didn't maintain proper boundaries with Sophia. It's my fault. I promise you that from now on, I will keep more than 3 feet away from Sophia and have no further contact with her. Won't that be enough? No, you can't. I said it with conviction. Marcus, however, looked utterly pained and confused. I can do it. I scoffed coldly. Then do you remember that I'm allergic to cantaloupe? Do you remember what my favorite dish is? My counter questions left Marcus stunned. He quickly regained his composure, tried to answer, but I cut him off. I explicitly told you multiple times that I'm allergic to cantaloupe. Would you have known if I hadn't? And I don't like sweet and sour at all. That's Sophia's favorite, not mine. Every word I spoke was like the sharpest sword piercing Marcus's heart. His face grew paler and paler, and his words were as weak and powerless as his complexion. I'll remember them from now on. Forget it. I said dismissively. You should remember that Sophia likes sweet and sour and is allergic to alcohol. Those are the things you should remember. It was unbelievable that after living under the same roof for so many years, Marcus couldn't even remember these things about me. Words were often an illusion. Actions were the truest reflection. My love for Marcus seemed to die out in an instant. Don't go, Grace, don't go. Just as Marcus tried to hold me back, Margaret was pushed out in her wheelchair by Sophia. Indeed, Sophia was tolerant. Margaret was reeking. Yet Sophia didn't seem to mind at all. Margaret looked sternly at Marcus, then at me with disgust. Marcus, we don't need such an unruly woman. Bringing her home would only cause trouble. It's better to get rid of her now. You're so outstanding. Why would you worry about not finding a good woman? Just like Sophia, she's promised me that if you're willing, she'll come back and marry you. As she said this, Margaret looked at Sophia, her face full of satisfaction. However, she ignored Sophia's flickering gaze, which held a hint of disdain. I too felt suffocated by years of serving Margaret. When you despise someone, nothing they do matters, and had abandoned her son and done so many things to insult her. Yet Margaret seemed to deliberately overlook it. Hearing this, Marcus looked at Margaret and Sophia, his face full of shock. This time, he surprisingly didn't side with Sophia. Instead, he angrily rebuked Margaret. Mom, do you have to be such a troublemaker, ruining everything, before you're satisfied? Unexpected that her usually obedient son would speak to her like this. Margaret almost fainted, then her finger trembled as she pointed at me. It's all your fault. You jinx. What spell did you put on my son to make him talk to his own mother like that? It has nothing to do with Grace. I've wanted to say these things for a long time. When he finished, the onlookers covertly covered their mouths and snickered. Wasn't she a troublemaker? Both meanings, the literal and the deeper one, aligned perfectly. Margaret's face turned red and then green from being reprimanded by her own son, and she stopped speaking to save face. Watching this farce, I was finally exhausted. I looked again at Marcus's hand, which was still clinging to me, and reiterated, if you don't let go, I'm calling the police. Grace, are you really that heartless towards me? I narrowed my eyes dangerously. You can try me. The resolve in my eyes startled Marcus, and he finally let go. I, in my torn clothes, turned and walked away, not giving Marcus a chance to hold me back, however. Before leaving, I left him with a firm statement. Marcus, what happened between us today isn't the end. It's just the beginning. After leaving the wedding hall, I went back to the house I'd lived in for years, packed everything, and left. I found a rented apartment and settled down. Life on my own. No adult diapers, no filth and mess, no old person stench. Everything was wonderful while living alone. I also regretted why I had tormented myself for so many years for someone like Marcus. For all those years, to care for Margaret, I had quit my job. On the surface, I was helping Marcus care for his mother, but in reality, I was nothing more than a maid with no dignity. In the beginning, Margaret was a bit more compliant, letting me change her adult diapers obediently, but whenever she was unhappy, she would deliberately throw away her adult diaper, leaving a mess all over the floor. In the end, she would happily watch me clean up the mess she had made little by little. My willingness to do this was all because of Marcus's initial words. Grace, I'm busy with work, and my mother is paralyzed at home. Could you help me take care of her? Don't worry. I'll pay you your wages on time, and if no one marries you later, I will marry you. At the time, I had just confessed my feelings and been rejected by him. Hearing these words, I thought I had a chance and agreed. I never imagined I was jumping into a bottomless pit of fire. There were no wages, and his promise to marry me was decades overdue. Back then, Marcus's family wasn't so destitute. It was only after his father, a manager, was framed and died, and Margaret became paralyzed. Sophia, upon learning of their situation, decisively broke off the engagement. During that period, Marcus was depressed and dark, even attempting suicide. If I hadn't stayed by his side, helping him through those difficult times, he would have been dead long ago. Where would manager be today? However, Marcus couldn't see the help I gave him in his time of need, but he remembered Sophia's disdain for him perfectly, and I finally understood the immense power of the one that got away, so great that Marcus could forget the kindness of someone who shared his hardships. After moving out, I faced life anew. Relying on men was useless. I had to rely on myself. I decisively found a new job and started over. Luckily, I found a good job and met a group of wonderful colleagues. Among them, I also met a man who was interested in me. My appearance was not bad, attracting many men, of course. Not all of them were good people. There were many bad ones too, but a man named Ethan attracted me. He was very patient and genuinely sincere. It was clear he was different from the others. Faced with my distant demeanor, he didn't get discouraged and leave like other men. He would wait for me downstairs every day to take me to work. He would also stay with me when I worked overtime and walk home with me at night. Little by little, he won me over. During a company gathering, he and I both accidentally drank too much. With alcohol clouding my judgment, I ended up sleeping with him. An adult's world is simple. If you slept together, you slept together, and if you slept together, you were together. We officially began an office romance, and luckily, the company didn't interfere with such matters. Ethan was also very clingy. After we got together, he spent every day at my small apartment and didn't go home. We did everything together. Before, when I was with Marcus, I was always the one clinging to him. There was never a time when he clung to me. This time, in this relationship, enjoying this feeling was quite nice. Just as our sweet romance blossomed and I gradually forgot the unpleasant past, Marcus surprisingly showed up at my door. I don't know what I said at the wedding hall door that day gave him the wrong impression, making him think there was still a chance between us. He came to my door, carrying a large bouquet of red roses. This was the first time I had seen Marcus show such a humble side to me. Grace, here are 999 red roses. Each one was carefully selected by me. Come home with me, I and my mom are waiting for you to come back. We all miss you. Hearing this, I laughed, unhesitatingly exposing his lie. Waiting for me? Don't even talk about you. Talk about your mom. From what I've heard, ever since I left that day, she immediately started arranging your wedding with Sophia. At this, Marcus's face instantly drained of color. He stammered, very afraid. No, that's not what I meant. No matter what my mom does, I would never marry Sophia. Grace, during the time you weren't around, I really thought a lot. I admit that I previously said I wanted to get revenge on Sophia, but deep down, I still had feelings for her. He finally admitted it, but I felt like crying. His words also confirmed that all my efforts these past years, my companionship through his hardships, had been a joke. But then I realized everything clearly. Loving someone means accompanying them through difficult times, and you did all of that, but abandoned me during my hardest times, and in the future, in similar situations, she would also leave me without hesitation, but you wouldn't. You're the one who truly loves me. As he spoke, he smiled, seemingly happy that he had understood the truth. Yes, he was happy, but I coldly stated a truth without hesitation. That's right, I loved you before. I can't lie about that, but time changes, and my love for you changes too. After everything you've done to me these past few days, do you think I'd still love you? Hearing my words, Marcus finally couldn't hold back. Who else can you be with besides me? You and I have been together for so many years. We've done everything imaginable. Who else would want you? Before I could speak, Ethan suddenly walked out. Not all men are as old-fashioned as you. No matter what Grace has been through, in my heart, she is the purest and cleanest one. Ethan must have done it on purpose. He had been wearing other pajamas just now, but now he had changed into matching pajamas with me. They were loose, revealing a good part of his chest, which was covered in scratch marks. Anyone could tell what an intense night he'd had. Ethan's cunning was clear, but I didn't dislike it. On the contrary, I loved it indeed. Marcus's eyes widened, and he pointed at Ethan like a madman. What's going on with you two? His eyes bloodshot. He looked at me again, seemingly unable to believe what he saw, wanting to hear the truth from my mouth. What else could it be? Can't you tell we're a couple? I raised an eyebrow, not shying away at all. I casually put my arm around Ethan's shoulder, openly admitting, he's my man. Got a problem? Ethan also lowered his head, indulging me. Ethan seemed to just notice the red roses in Marcus's hand and tutted a few times. Grace doesn't like such vibrant red roses. She only likes subtle daisies. Grace hates sweet and sour. She prefers BBQ ribs. He said so much that not only Marcus was stunned, but I was too. So Ethan knew everything. All my past, my preferences, all my likes and dislikes. He catered to my every need, looking forward to a future with me. My eyes gradually reddened, and Marcus completely lost it. Thank you. I hugged Ethan, and those were the only words I could say. Silly. There's no need for thanks between us. Ethan rested his chin on my head and hugged me back, his voice tender. Watching this scene, overwhelming jealousy swept over Marcus. Don't hug. You too. Break it up. Break it up. After saying this, he forcefully pulled Ethan and me apart, but was a trained fighter, a national boxing champion. In just 2 or 3 moves, he pinned Marcus to the ground. Marcus, with bloodshot eyes, stared fiercely at me. You fell for this kind of man. No money, no power? After failing to demean me just now, was he trying to manipulate someone else now? I laughed. What's wrong with this kind of man? He's good and considerate to me, takes care of everything big or small, and I never have to worry. Don't you know that since I've been with him, I no longer have to wash clothes in the middle of the night? No longer have to be woken up at midnight to change your mom's adult diaper. Love is never measured by money. Just like when I was with you before, you had nothing. Someone like you wouldn't understand love. Each word hurt Marcus deeply. He actually cried, tears streaming down his face, shaking his head frantically. I no longer wanted to be entangled with him and simply slammed the door shut. If you bother me again, I'm calling the police. After that day I saw Marcus, I never saw him again. He had enough pride not to pester me, but changed overnight. She found my address and came over, frantically knocking on my door. Of course, I didn't open it. Seeing only reminded me of my unbearable past. Through the peephole and the doorbell camera, I could see Margaret furiously ranting. Grace, Mom really knows she was wrong. I didn't know how good you were before, but now I know everything. Please open the door and let me in, okay? That wretched Sophia. She's one thing on the surface and another underneath. These past few days, I've seen through her true colors. She's not as good as you in any way. I want you. Hearing her complaints, I finally understood the whole story. It turned out that although Sophia had supposedly taken my place in caring for Margaret these past few days, Sophia despised Margaret from the bottom of her heart. How could she genuinely care for her? Margaret was accustomed to my attentiveness. In the middle of the night, she'd wake up frantically calling Sophia to change her adult diaper, but simply pretended to be deaf. During the day, Margaret fell at the bathroom door, crying out for a long time. But Sophia just feigned blindness and went out shopping, because no one was taking care of her. and Marcus hadn't returned home, having failed to persuade me to come back. In just 1 month, the walls and floors of the house were covered in filth and mess. The stench was overwhelming, even spreading outside, prompting all the neighbors to come over and complain. The sight before them left everyone stunned. Margaret also had her pride. To be called a shameless old woman and have her incontinence pointed out at her age, she felt utterly humiliated. Grace, as long as you continue to take care of me, I won't stop you from being with my son. I give you my permission to get married. Seeing no sign of the door opening, Margaret suddenly made a decision, took a deep breath, and then spoke to the peephole. She still thought I cared about Marcus, and that my refusal to marry him out of anger was just me throwing a fit, playing hard to get. How utterly ridiculous. I must admit, her reverse psychology worked. I opened the door directly, my eyes critically scanning Margaret from head to toe. It's not that you're allowing me to marry your son. It's that I don't want your son. I dumped your son. Stop being so arrogant, with an old hag like you, suffering from incontinence, who would dare marry your son? Hearing me say this, Margaret pointed a trembling finger at me. You. The words caught in her throat. She couldn't say anything, her old face flushed crimson. She seemed not to have anticipated that I would speak with such venom, and she was so furious she almost passed out. What you? I slapped away her accusing finger and the next second, slammed the door shut. Margaret, rebuffed and seething with anger, tried to stand up but forgot she had been paralyzed for a long time. Without realizing it, she rolled straight out of her wheelchair and tumbled down the stairs, getting bruised and battered all over. The ambulance arrived quickly, and with his mother in the hospital, Marcus finally showed up. He didn't kick open my door or argue with me. Instead, he simply gazed deeply in the direction of my house, then left. I found his gaze inexplicable. But a few days later, something that had been quietly brewing online finally exploded. It was the engagement photos Marcus and I had taken at the wedding hall, except had been cropped out, leaving only my compromising photos. The title was also incredibly attention-grabbing. On her wedding day, the bride couldn't control her desires and publicly solicited advances. This shocking news sparked widespread attention and discussion among netizens. Are women this uninhibited these days? What's the point of exposing those parts? Can't they control their desires? Thinking about that kind of thing in broad daylight? If I were the groom, I would have slapped that woman several times in public. There were also lewd people who saw filth in everything. Am I the only one who thinks this woman is so sexually frustrated because the guy isn't satisfying her? They say young girls are fierce like tigers. If the groom can't satisfy her, then let me do it. The accompanying image was a drooling emoji. More photos continued to surface. They weren't overtly explicit, but everything that shouldn't have been exposed was. The subtle, suggestive coverings only made people's imaginations run wild. The buzz continuously escalated, and I gained brand new titles. Wanton, shameless. Without knowing the truth, they plastered these vile names onto me, just as I was being reviled by everyone. Afraid to even step out my front door, Marcus called me. His voice over the phone had a hoarse, chilling quality. Grace, it's not just those photos. I have more shocking and prettier ones in my possession. Don't you want me to post them online? Although his tone was flippant, the threat in his words was abundantly clear. Seeing my silence, he chuckled again. Did your sweet little boyfriend kick you to the curb after he found out about all this? I told you, you can't rely on men like that. He said this presumptuously, confidently believing I would beg him for forgiveness and try to win him back. But I spoke coldly. Are you done? Hearing this, Marcus's tone also darkened. Grace, stop pretending to be calm. Only I can save you now, and you should dutifully return to my side and prepare to be my bride. Only then will I choose to quell this public outrage. He was arrogant, but I was not to be outdone. And just as arrogantly, I hung up the phone. Contrary to Marcus's expectations, Ethan had stayed by my side the entire time, never abandoning me because of the scandals, and would never have dreamed that I already had a plan, and his current actions were nothing more than digging his own grave. I had never intended to let him go. I had been secretly plotting since the moment I walked out of the wedding hall. In the following days, I ran around, desperately pleading with the wedding hall staff to give me the security footage from that day. The hall staff gave it to me, but I discovered the security footage had already been tampered with by someone malicious. This was the most powerful evidence to punish Marcus, and now it was ruined. Just when I was at my wits' end, Ethan brought in the nation's top hacker to restore the security footage for me. And he also confessed his true identity to me. Actually, I'm the youngest son of the CEO of Sterling, the very company where we work together. Working an entry-level job was my own request, but I never intended to deceive or hide anything from you. I knew that one day my true identity would have to be revealed to you. I didn't want you to discover my identity on your own. I hoped that if I told you proactively, you wouldn't be as angry. Grace, I've chosen this moment to tell you because I want to marry you. I want to show you through my actions that I love you, unafraid of gossip or others' opinions. He said a lot, finally taking a deep breath. It was the first time I had ever seen him so nervous, wringing his hands anxiously, his head bowed, not daring to meet my gaze. A long time passed, and just when Ethan thought there was no chance for us, I simply smiled, a relaxed smile, and hugged him tightly. Silly, you helped me with such a huge problem. How could I possibly be angry? Even after I said that, Ethan still cried, his tears falling torrentially, splattering onto the ground. He held me tighter, fear evident in his trembling voice. I thought you'd care. I was so scared you would just leave me. The next day, all those videos were uploaded online and handed over to the police station. It was the strongest possible retaliation against Marcus, and when the video was made public, showing my forced participation, all those archaic rural traditions were exposed and condemned. Public opinion immediately swung back in my favor. This man is truly manipulative. He deliberately cropped himself out, only showing the bride, to make us see just a part and take things out of context. That touch her butt. No illness for 3 years nonsense? Absolute garbage. What century? What era are we in? How can wedding hazing rituals still exist? How are these disgusting customs still oppressing women? This mother-in-law isn't just paralyzed. I think her cerebellum isn't fully developed either, missing the forest for the trees. What an idiot. A woman like that, working tirelessly to take care of you for so many years, without even asking for compensation. If it were me, I wouldn't do it even for $30,000 a month. Cleaning up after her like that, only a saint would help you that way. I was grateful for their voices. The police station quickly investigated everything and soon shut down the online forums and websites that had been circulating my private photos. Of course, Marcus was also arrested for violating my portrait rights and for allegedly spreading pornographic videos. The group of groomsmen who had participated in the wedding hazing rituals were arrested along with him. When he was caught, he stood there, stunned as if his soul had left his body, looking at me, then at the sky, muttering to himself, was I really wrong? He seemed to have lost his mind, repeating that same sentence over and over, and, having just been released from the hospital, witnessed this scene. She immediately collapsed to the ground, frantically kowtowing to me. I was truly wrong. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you and Marcus wouldn't be like this. Please, let him go, okay? Let him go? Then who would let go of my past? Afterward, Margaret kept kowtowing until her face was covered in blood, but I didn't hesitate for a moment, turning and walking away. A long time passed since that day before I heard about what happened with Margaret and Sophia. No one could have imagined that a paralyzed old woman suffering from incontinence could, by herself, kill a young woman. This shocking news rocked the entire nation, but by then, I had no interest in gossip. I was walking with Ethan towards a wedding chapel meant only for the two of us. That's all for today's story. Thank you for listening. This is my channel. The tales I share, drawn from life or woven from imagination, are meant to offer you connection, reflection, and perhaps solace or newfound strength. If you long to see your own reflection in others' journeys, or seek a glimmer of light within the maze of emotions, subscribe to my channel. Listen with your heart. Explore the stories of life.